We are dealing with the word embeddings, and now we'll see about the various word embedding techniques. Basically, today, in like in particular, we'll be dealing with frequency-based word embedding techniques. My voice is a little bit down, but I'm trying to make it up. If you do not understand, or maybe like my voice is unclear, you may please report me back once, okay? Or you can even text once, like sir, it is not visible or not audible or not visible with respect to the screens and all. I'll be going very slowly also with respect to the screens because many of you may be like getting due to the slow internet connectivity, will be getting a little bit slow in the getting receiving the slides. Okay, so we are having this basic word embedding techniques as frequency based. It can be classified as frequency based embedding and prediction based embedding. Like this frequency based embedding is mostly depending on the counts, and the prediction based embedding, it depends on the neural networks. Here we use the neural networks. Okay, so we'll see about the frequency based embeddings. So first one that we will be going through is the count vector. Here let us try to see about the example. One example, like we are having two documents. Let us assume that. Consider a corpus with two documents, and we are having document 1 and document 2. And document 1 is like, he is a good boy. The document would comprise of certain sentences or some sequence of words like, he is a good boy, she is also good. Okay, and document 2 comprises of the set of words like, Satish is a good person. Now, the dictionary that created maybe a list of these unique words from the above corpus. Okay, maybe like the words, we have to take the completely the list of words, but they should be unique basically. Okay, like the words that has been taken from the top is like he, she, good, boy, Satish, person. So here we are trying to cover almost all the, we are removing, maybe like we are trying to remove the various stop words and all. Okay, what we have seen earlier, some what are stop words, those are like those with which occur very frequently throughout the all the documents and all those type of words, maybe like we are not interested in taking it. Okay, so removing them, eliminating them, we are having some words, unique words available here for this example. So here, if you take in this example, the documents, number of documents is 2. We are having D1 and D2, right? And the number of unique words which have been taken, which are not stop words, are 6 here. He, she, good, boy, Satish, and person, right? So if you see down the table is visible, right, to all of you. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So if you see that table, you can easily say that in D1, what are the counts? Okay, what are the counts? And in D2, what are the counts? Means which words are available and how many of them are available. In D1, document 1, if you see, he is available in document 1. You can just refer it on the top also, like he is available. In document 1 again, she is available because she is also a good, she is also good. So good, two times it appears in document 1. If you see on the top, like he is a good boy, she is also good, 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 two in two sentences, right? Two times good has appeared, boy one time it has appeared, Satish none of them, none of the times it has appeared in document 1. Person, none of the times it has appeared in document 1. in document 2. So instead of D, it is a typo. Okay, please take it that the second D1 is D2 basically. Okay, in document 2, he is not there, she is not there, good is not there. Sorry, good is there. Okay, Satish is a good person. Okay, so good is there, available ones, and boy is not there. Satish is there and person is there. So please take, there is a small typo there, D2, or it should be D2. Okay, fine, please. Now, the count vector, basically, we are having either the count vectors, maybe if you take it, it is a count vector, maybe a word vector, or it may be a document vector. So we are having certain terms and certain documents. So if you just see that, we are having, suppose we are having some 8 terms. Okay, term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, term 5, term 6, term 7, and term 8. And we are also having some 8 documents, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, D6, D7, and D8. So like that, if you see, okay, and correspondingly, term 1 appears here in the example that is given, is like in document 1 it has appears, document 3, and document 8. Term 2 appears in document 2, document 6, and document 8, right? And how many times it has appeared also it is being given. If you take the example of term 4, it appeared 6 times in document 1, 4 times in document 4, 6 times in document 5. So 3 times it has appeared in the term 4 has appeared in 3 documents, document 1, document 4, and document 5. So if you take like this, similarly, all the terms appear in one or the other documents, right? And similarly, each document comprises of one or the other, one or more terms, basically. Okay. So if you take, this is a vector, okay, maybe like a comprising of the suppose term for, you will see that there is given. So that complete sequence of words or characters 6004 600 that is a vector, and we call this one as a passage vector or basically a word vector. And similarly, so for a term vector or a word vector, we say we represent what are the documents in which these words are available, or this term is available in which documents. This is taken, or this can be derived from word vector, and also how many times, right? So here, if we come to a conclusion, we can say that like the number of this particular term appearing in corresponding documents, what are the documents, that is called a word vector, and a document vector is also same, like in this particular document, in a particular document, what are the terms appear and how many times they appear. This example we are providing it with respect to the count vector. Okay, I hope you understand that. It's very simple. And if you take the other method, term frequency and inverse document frequency, so this TF IDF also comes under this frequency based word embedding. So if you take frequency based, again some counts are involved here. Frequency itself says that some counts are available here. But in TF IDF, so you know that TF IDF is TF multiplied by IDF, it should be actually term frequency into inverse document frequency. So what term frequency says, like given a document, how many times a particular term appears, right? This is mostly bothered about the term frequency. So basically term frequency is the number of times term T appears in a document divided by the number of terms in the document. So here you see the example given here. Consider we are having a corpus with two documents only. Okay, so document 1 and document 2. If you see document 1, a sentence is given there. Okay, a sentence is given or some list of words are given there. This is about Satish. Okay, this is about Satish, and in bracket it is given how many times particularly this term or a term occurs, the particular term occurs in that document. Suppose if you see in D1, this occurred one time, is occurred one time, about occurred 2 times, Satish occurred 4 times. Okay, and in document 2, if you see, this occurred 1 time, is occurred 2 times, about occurred 1 time, and Venki occurred 1 time. This is just a small example considering a small corpus. If there is a big corpus, definitely there will be a huge number of words available, and how many times that words were available, that also we can get it. Okay, so term frequency is given as number of times a term T appears in a document divided by number of terms in that particular document. So in the above example, in D1, okay, how many documents are, how many terms are available total? In total, how many terms are available? This occurred 1 time, is occurred 1 time, about 2 times, and Satish 4 times. So totally it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So 8 words are there in document 1 and 5 words are there in document 2, right? So if you take term frequency of this in document 1, term frequency of this in document D1. So that is given by, what is term frequency? As you see the above definition there, number of times term T appears in a document. So in this document, once only it has appeared, because in the bracket it shows that only once, divided by the total number of terms in the document. That is, how many terms are there? 8 terms are there. So 1 by 8, that is the value. 1 by 8 is the value for TF of this in document 1. Suppose term frequency for this, the term this in D2, document 2 is once only. In document 2 also this occurred 1 time, divided by total. How many? Total is 5, 1 by 5. Right. Now let us see what is the term frequency for about in document 1 and document 2. What is the term frequency for about in document 1? It is 2 divided by 8. 2 times it has occurred out of 8 terms. And what is the term frequency of about in document 2? It is again 1 divided by 5. Okay. And if you see inverse document frequency, what is this inverse document frequency? Inverse document frequency, the formula is log n. It means that total number of documents divided by small n. That is the number of documents a term T has appeared in. So if you take into consideration this, like IDF, inverse document frequency of this is given as 2 by 2. 2 times it has appeared, or 2 times, like n is the number of, capital N is the number of documents and small n is the number of documents that term T has appeared. So total how many documents we are having? Totally 2 documents we are having. Log 2 divided by how many number of documents in which this term T has appeared? 2. So IDF of this is equal to log 2 by 2. That is equal to 0. It means that, see, why do we take this IDF is basically taken with respect to the universal set or universal data set. Okay, it means that with respect to other documents also you need to consider. So here in the next slide you will see the example, and maybe like you'll understand more. So if a word has appeared in all the documents, then probably that word is not relevant to a particular document, right? They are, of course, they are attached. There is, without some attachment, it cannot happen like that. The sequence of words may not occur, but we feel that it is common. Those are common things, or maybe like you can take that one as a sequence of words which are maybe like a stock words. Okay, some words which appear in all documents, so they do not have much weight. So it's given here like if a word has appeared in all the documents, then probably that word is not relevant to a particular document. But if it has appeared in a subset of documents or very few number of documents, then probably that word is of some relevance to the document that it is present in. Let us count, or let us compute the inverse document frequency for the word Satish. Okay, inverse document frequency IDF of Satish is log. How many documents are there? 2 documents are there. Out of that one, in how many documents it has occurred in one document? So log 2 by 1. That's equal to something, you are going to get it 0.301 or 301, 0.301. So if you consider the, or compare the term frequency into inverse document frequency for a, or simply like we also mention conventionally as a TF IDF, a common word this and a word Satish, which seem to be a relevance to document 1. So you see TF IDF of this in document 1 is given as 1 by 8 into 0. 0 IDF of this is 0. It is 0 because it appears in all the documents. Okay, in all the documents. TF IDF of this in document 1 equal to 1 by 8 into 0, that's equaling to 0. And TF IDF of this in document 2 is 1 by 5 into 0, that's equal to 0 again. But you see here the third one, TF IDF of Satish in document 1 is given as 4 by 8. 4 by 8 into 4 by 8 means the term frequency. Okay, term frequency 4 times it has appeared out of in that particular document, out of, because we are considering document 1. TF IDF of Satish given in document 1 is term frequency is 4 times it has occurred out of 8 terms, right? If you see the earlier slide, you must have seen that Satish occurred 4 times in document 1, and the total number of terms in document 1 is 8. So 4 by 8 into inverse document frequency. In how many documents it has got? In 2 documents. Log 2 divided by in how many documents it is actually present? Total number of documents is 2, and in one document this word called Satish occurs. So log 2 by 1, that's equal to 301, 0.301. So this is term frequency into inverse document frequency. If you calculate 4 by 8 into 0.301, that's equal to 0.15. So you can see that in document 1, the term frequency into inverse document frequency method heavily penalizes the word this, but this TF IDF assigns a greater value for Satish. So this may be understood as Satish is an important word for document 1 from the context of the entire corpus, right? That's why this IDF, TF-IDF is brought. Okay, this is also a frequency based method. Okay, now if you take another frequency based embedding technique is co-occurrence matrix. What is this co-occurrence matrix? If you take the example, let us take this example again. So co-occurrence means how many times or how, so here we are taking as a frequency based, so count has to be taken. Okay, like how many times these particular words, given two words or list of words versus list of words, if it is given, how many times these particular terms or set of terms co-occur, occur near to near within the given context window. Now let us take an example. There we are having a small corpus again. He is not lazy. He is intelligent. He is smart. So you are having three sentences here. Corpus, in this corpus, sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3. You please just check it that he is not lazy, he is intelligent, and he is smart. We are having three sentences here. So what is co-occurrence basically? For a given corpus, the co-occurrence of a pair of words, say W1 and W2. W1 is word 1 and W2 is word 2. Is the number of times they have appeared together in the context window. Okay, again, what is this context window? Context window is specified by the number and the direction. So it is basically specified, maybe like context window may be 1 only, or it may be 2 only, or context window may be 3. So when you say 1, 2 or 3 like that, you have to understand that this context is like how many words, what is the context? For example, let us take the context window for specified in this sentence itself. Okay, context window is specified by a number and a direction. What is the context window for this specified? Okay, context window, if I take a context window as 3, context window as 3, then you want to consider 3 words left side and 3 words right side. So what are the words that are going to come? Context window is are the words on the left side. Okay, 3 context windows on the left side, and on the right side by a number is the context window 3 for specified on the right side, right? So this is what is a context window. So again, go back to the co-occurrence matrix. For a given corpus, the co-occurrence of a pair of words given W1 and W2 is the number of times they have appeared together in the context window. Okay, how many times do they appear? Now, what is the looking into the above? Okay, looking into the above sentences corpus, he is not lazy, he is intelligent, and he is smart. So can you please give the context window of 2 for is and he? He is. What is the context? How many, what is the frequency that is available for that?
Sir, 3.
Now you please check it. Did the slide get changed to you?
Yes, sir.
You see there, he is not lazy, he is intelligent, he is smart. First one is he is in the first sentence. Okay, right? Second one is he is in the second sentence. And third one is he is in the third sentence. But if you see, he is intelligent, he is smart. is there, intelligent is there. So for that particular sentence document, if you see that in that document, like completely or if you take the context window of he with respect to the third sentence, he is on the right side, is smart is there, and left side you take is intelligent is there, right? So it means that how many times he and she is occurred, either it may be he and is or is and he, right? In context window 2, for the third sentence, second sentence and third sentence, if you see, is he is, okay, second sentence it is there, and then he is in the third sentence it is there. But if you see he, again go to the left side, third sentence starting he, go to the left side, is intelligent is there and is smart is there on the right side. You're getting me? Has the this got changed? Slide got changed to you all? Did you get it?
So we can see the slide example with context in the two.
No, there is another slide that I have swifted it, so it may be visible clearly for you. That's why. Please just check it once. You see that left side you have to see two words, right side two words. So if it occurs together, then you have to mark it as one time. What is the context? Let us go into another example. What is the, for example, the context window for lazy? Okay, lazy. What is the context window for lazy for two? Context window 2 for lazy. What are the words coming? What are the words that come in? Lazy, lazy. We are having the document there. Okay, that corpus is there with he is not lazy, he is smart, he is intelligent, he is smart. Okay. Now please tell me what is the for context window 2 for lazy. What are the words that come in? What are the words that come in? Is not are the two words on the left side. He is the two words on the right side. You're getting me?
Yes, sir.
Huh. So for intelligent, you see what is the for the context window 3. If I tell context window 3, what are the words that come into come in for context window 3? What are the words that come in? On the left side of intelligent, three words. What are those three words? Lazy,
Lazy.
he is, and right side, he is smart. So now you take the context window for he, the third he, 2, context window 2. Left side, please tell me what are the words that come on left side. I am on 36th slide. Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Now you can see, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So you understood now, like the concurrence now. Why 4? You got it? Got it or no? Please respond me. The co-occurrence of he and is with context window 2 is 4. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Anybody didn't get it?
Sir, I didn't get it.
Are you able to see 36th slide?
Yes, sir.
Now count one. See that yellow highlighting is available there. Can you see it?
Yes, sir, I can see.
He is one. In the
So
second line,
first,
he
second,
is.
third sentence he is understandable, but why are we counting is he? There are more occurrences of is he.
What is the problem? We want only co-occurrence in the context window 2. We did not say about the sequence. Co-occurrence means what?
So then we can also count is from the first sentence and he from the second sentence.
You can count, no issue. He
So
and
then,
is.
so then we will have 5 as the value of co-occurrence.
How?
So these 4 along with he from first sentence and is from second sentence.
The context window is only 2. I am telling context window is only 2. It means that 2 words on the right, 2 words on the left.
2 words on the right. So left and right of what?
Of that particular word which you are considering.
So right now we are considering he is.
No. He. You take one word. You take one word. You consider now he. Okay, first sentence you consider he. How many 2 words you take on the right side? How many? What are the words that coming on? Is and not. Right?
So
Are you
there are
getting me?
many words after
Please
he.
follow me. Please follow me.
Okay.
You are taking he first sentence he. Context window 2 words come on the right side. What are those words? Is and not. So I wanted to see what is the co-occurrence of he and is only. I am not interested about not or any other word. So he and is, one time it has occurred. Now you take is as the second word. Okay, is as the second word. Okay, now is that has been already considered. Left side 2 words you cannot take because no words are available, only one word is available, he is available. So since it is a set, you have to consider only once for that co-occurrence. Okay, if it is with some other set, then you can do it, no issue. Now you take not. He is left side, he is already considered. Now you take lazy. Now you take lazy. Not is not and he is, but here we are not interested about, here we can get it, but we are not interested about the co-occurrence of the word lazy, with lazy, right? With lazy we
Right.
are not interested.
Yes, sir.
So he, again now you take he is, so now we get it. Left side not lazy, we cannot take it. He is, right side is intelligent, is the co-occurrence of, so is intelligent is available, so I can take it. So that way, that is the second occurrence. He is. Okay. Now the third occurrence is that third word, the is taken from the second sentence. Is. What are the left side co-occurrences? Lazy he. So there already one occurrence. He is already we have taken as one co-occurrence. So in the second co-occurrence. So now right side you take it intelligent he. So again he has occurred. So this can be taken as one another occurrence. So that is third occurrence. that is given in the third line. And fourth line, okay, it is obvious that again he and is. So with context window 2. If I take it context window 3, please you give me the co-occurrence of the he and is. Please, everyone, please work it out on that. How many will be there?
So one more question. In the first line, when we are considering the first he, don't we count he and not? He not?
Yes, yes, we consider, but since not is not required here.
Only is, okay.
Is required. That's why we are neglecting not. Right? Yeah. So please make a context window 3.
So it's
With
5.
With context window 3, what is the co-occurrence matrix for he and is?
5.
Sir, slide, we can't see the slide of context window 3.
36th slide. Either 35th or 36th, you can work it out. No issue. What is the co-occurrence matrix value, frequency value for he and she when the context window is 3?
So 5.
At 4.
Yeah, 5. Anybody else got 6, 7, 8? Any numbers? Any other numbers attained by anybody else? Five. We are going to get 5. He and is for context window 3. Okay, context window 6. We are going to get more in number, right? Okay, you can work it out later. Context window 6. Now, we will see about one hot encoding. Before entering into the prediction based models, okay, we have to see a few basics. First of all, about the things like, because we the basis for the prediction based models is like we need to have some basic knowledge about the neural network. And in neural network, basically, suppose some set of words that are given, like whether this particular word is appearing or not. Okay, one of the encoding method that we provide is like one word, one hot word representation for neural network as an input, probably as an input that we give it. Okay, so the one hot encoding is nothing but given a sentence. Okay, what is for a particular word, only that word will be made as one hot, and then remaining other words will be considered as 0. I'm into 37 slide. Is it visible? Slide number 37.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Visible, right? So one word encoding here, the words like the cat sat on the mat, and the words that I am considering is like the cat on, like that, unique words. Okay, suppose if I consider unique words, the one hot here is for the, okay, for the first vector you see, 1000010. It means that wherever the word the occurred, I have put 1. Remaining everything is 0. Second line, if second vector, if you see, only cat has been given 1 and remaining everything is 0. The third vector, if you see, only on has been given and remaining everything 0. So like that, we represent each word vector. Okay, each word vector with respect to one hot representation. So the words the, cat and on have the index values as 0, 1 and 2 respectively in the vocabulary. Only at these positions their one hot vectors will be a value of 1 and remaining everything are zeros. So the length of the vector is determined by the number of unique tokens in the corpus. Basically, a corpus may comprise of some n number of words, right? Some n number of words. So in that case, what happens is we do not consider almost all the words. Something like some 50 to some 300. Some 300 words around we try to take, but they should be unique again. Okay, some unique 300 words, top 300 words, or maybe like it depends. Maybe like you can consider 500 words also. It doesn't matter. So based on that one, we try to build up this one hot vectors. Okay. So one hot encoding maybe once go to move when a categorical feature is encountered in the dataset. So if you think such a feature is very much useful, then only you are going to do one hot encoding for that particular word. Otherwise, it is not required actually. If that feature is not required, or if that feature is basically not taken into consideration, then you need not take that particular word also. So it's simple and straightforward technique, and it works by replacing each category with a vector full of zeros, except only for that particular word. Okay. So when applying one hot encoding in the text document, tokens are basically replaced by their one hot vectors, and a given sentence is in turn transformed into a 2D matrix with the shape of n cross m, with n being the number of tokens in the sentence and m with the size of the vocabulary. So depending on the number of tokens a sentence has, the shape will be different. You need to understand it can be given in higher dimensions also, but mostly like some for the words and feature representation, we can give it in this 2D matrix, 2-dimensional matrix. So if you take the count vector for this with one hot encoding, the usage of one hot encoding allows us to achieve a token level representation of a sentence. So please, I have given a sufficient text also. You can just read it out. It does by replacing its token with the vectors while maintaining their original sequence arrangement. So here we make up the sequence also. The sequence also is preserved in one hot encoding. A count vectorizer, on the other hand, is based on term frequencies and is capable of squeezing an entire sentence into a single vector. Maybe like for a given a sentence, and for each word there is a vector, word vector with one hot encoded word vector. So you can squeeze it also. Okay, you can squeeze it, the sentence. So complete sentence can be represented. It can be represented with a single vector, by just using count vectors. So you count for those particular occurrences of those particular words, unique words. Okay. So each position of a count vector is assigned to a particular token as before, and its value represents the number of appearances that a token has in the sentence. So tokens are first generated from the corpus and vocabulary is built to map the tokens to their corresponding IDs. So instead of building one vector for each token, a count vector simply counts how many times each token appeared in a sentence, and it places the number in their corresponding positions in the vector given. Okay. So as I said you earlier, like with this embeddings, one hot embedding, each word is represented by a dense vector of fixed size. Generally, that may range from 50 to 300. So as I said you that earlier, like okay, there may be a possibilities that like the words that are number of words that are being taken. So all these stop words, those things are we are not going to do the one hot encoding. So with values, it has to correspond with some features, maybe like masculinity, femininity, age, and many gender. So masculinity, femininity is related to gender only. So age, maybe like the height, weight, many things that may, those features may be kept up, and then that may be provided. So as shown, we are going to show the figure next. The features are seen as different aspects of a word semantic meaning, and their values are obtained by random initialization and are updated during training. So just like the parameters of the model do. So while training the embeddings, we do not tell the model what features should be taken into consideration. Instead, it's up to the model to decide what are the best ones for the learning task. So when setting up an embedding matrix, a set of words, so we only define its shape, the number of words, and each vector's length. So what features is to be represented is generally difficult to interpret. That is sure, because what are the features that are being taken? So features and the values that we assign for that features. So the system basically takes by its own. How? Now you see about this one with the examples of embedding. If you see here, okay. So various features for a king, for example, the word king, for a queen, for a woman, for a princess. We are having, assume that we are having 4 words. So with the feature royalty, okay, royalty feature is available in king. It should be availability, is basically availability with respect to a queen. But for a woman, the royalty is not there, 0.02. Or for a man, common man and common woman do not have that royalty. So it may be very low. The feature value may be very low for royalty. For princess, yes, some sort of royalty is there. It may not be more than a king or queen, but still it has some royalty. So masculinity, if you take it, yes, king has masculinity. Queen, the masculinity feature is not there. Woman, no masculinity feature. Princess, we do not have a masculinity. If it is a prince, then the masculinity feature will be there. Femininity feature, king do not have any femininity feature. Okay, we have, even if it is there, but the feature is very less. Queen, yes, masculinity feature. Woman, the masculinity, femininity feature is there. And princess has femininity feature. Similarly, age, if you take age, then king maybe 0.7 as a feature, queen 0.6 as a feature, woman 0.5 as a feature, and prince or princess both maybe like the age factor may be there low, so it may be from 0.1 or 0 to 1 or something like that, it may be there. So similarly with respect to other features also. So this is what, like how you, this is the word vector. Okay, now king, the word vector for king is 0.99, 0.99, 0.05, 0.7 corresponding to. So maybe like this, there may be some 50 or 60 or 100 or 200 or 300 features may be available like that. So the feature length, it depends upon the feature length, the word vector has to be defined. Okay. So that's why now like you take it, the word embedding ability to capture the semantic meaning can be illustrated by projecting these high dimensional vectors to a 2D space of visualization via TSNE plot. This is TSNE is basically the let me just tell you, I give you this TSNE is this is the like T distributed stochastic neighborhood embedding. Okay, what is this TSNE? T distributed stochastic neighborhood embedding. This is so vectors. This it can be represented or used space for visualization via some TSNE, T distributed stochastic neighborhood embedding. So if embeddings were obtained successfully, plotting these vectors with the TSNE would demonstrate how words have similar meaning. So the meaning actually, similarity of the meaning can be easily found out using this TSNE plots. How they are closer, whether they are similar or they are dissimilar. Okay. So the semantic relationship between different embedding vectors can be illustrated by the example, like say that we have an embedding vector of the word king, we are having embedding vector for queen, then for man and woman. So the resulting vector of subtracting queen from king and woman from man would be very similar to the direction wise, since they both carry the similar values for the gender feature. So a famous example that is generally given for these word embeddings is king minus queen and man minus woman, or it is same like equivalent to king minus queen plus woman equal to a man. So this is with respect to the yes, like so it is given king minus queen. Okay, king minus queen plus woman. King minus queen plus woman. So this is equivalent. Woman is equal to man. So it is equivalent to that king minus queen or man minus woman. Suppose this feature this is available. Okay, in the TSNE plot. Suppose we are having this TSNE plot is nothing but simply getting the things in a 2D format. Okay, two-dimensional format. Okay, all the words, their semantic relationship. Suppose a vector is in a 2D space. Where is a woman, like in like a x and y axis? Suppose you give a plot. A woman is there, a dot for woman is there, and the distance between woman and a man, another dot for man is there. So and parallelly, suppose a distance for king is there. So the same distance from woman and man is the same distance between the queen and the king. Okay, so this basically is the famous example. King minus queen plus is equal to a man. So we are having this word vector for king, queen, woman and princess here. So we'll see about the prediction based in our next class.